who else? I get it, right? I think Durk's biggest problem, and Whack 100 said this, I think he coined it really well. He said, if you try to bring the block with you, you'll end up in a cell block. Durk, for whatever reason, which made no sense to me, brought along a whole bunch of these knuckleheads with him that really did not have any talent. These were not great managers. They were not producers. They were not songwriters. They were not licensed security. There's a whole bunch of guys that he grew up around that had reputations and so forth. And you get caught up in this bullshit. You have these people that once they leave, you don't know what they're doing. I have been very careful not to keep people like this around me. Like when you see me, you'll see a real security guy. When you come to the studio and do interviews, there's not a bunch of guys hanging out, right? It's me, my cameraman, a security if necessary, and that's it. I have employees that are actually like, you can literally show what they do every single day. These are not just like, gangsters I have around. I have them on payroll to go beat up somebody when I need them to do something. Like these are real employees. And as you get to certain levels in your career, you have to just cut people off. You can't sit there and have these people around you because it's just insane. It's completely insane to have these people around you in any capacity. And this is what happens. You get caught up. Because look, like, Academics brought up a really good point. You could say, well, Durk had a reason to kill, Quando Rondo because of King Von. But King Von was friends with all those other guys too. So they had the same reason, right?
I think Durk had the most reason because of the whole Slide for Von campaign, and I think that clearly got to him.
Okay, but the other guys had a reason as well. And this is going to be exploited in court.
But I think they were looking at Lil Durk as the general of like, can we slide?
I get it, and whether it happened or not, we'll probably never know. Because no one's actually going to admit. Durk will never, unless Durk gets 20 years or let's just say Durk gets life in prison. He goes through all his appeals. They all run out. Then it's like, okay, fine. I'll just talk about it.
Here's the issue, right?
That may happen one day if it actually goes that way. But other than that, he will never mention it.
But going back to something you said earlier, it's like, well, all these guys that were friendly with Von, like they could have just wanted to do this off their own back. No disrespect, but these guys aren't seasoned traveling around the country. They need the general to book a flight. And that's where the text of don't book no flights in my name comes from. Because it's like, you are the general allegedly leading
right,
these
and that's
guys.
what the feds are pushing. I get it.
And it's like, it's as simple as like, look, we would have slid for Von and killed Quando anyway, but we're broke, we need these flight tickets. All right, don't book no flights in my name. That's the slip up that puts you in the murder for hire case. And I think it's not far-fetched. I just feel like I find the whole coverage of this case really frustrating because I just feel like having followed this closely, everyone deserves their day in court, but it's just like from a fan perspective, it's kind of like, bruh, who else would have wanted to murder Quando Rondo in Los Angeles?
Like, in the court of the internet, Durk is definitely guilty, right? In the court of the internet, in the court of Reddit, in the court of Twitter comments, replies, Instagram comments, I get it. He's guilty. He's going down. He crashed out. He had all this opportunity. He messed it all up. Blah, 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 blah. I get it. Once you start stepping into real courts, especially federal courts that are really, it's really hardcore. Like all this like flip-flopping that you've seen, like little Woody getting on the stand, changing his whole story, the Megan Thee Stallion case, her friend getting up, not remembering shit. ASAP Relly, his whole thing falls apart on the stand. This doesn't happen in the feds. You make a statement, it goes through multiple stages. You rewrite it multiple times. You say it on camera. You write it down. There's perjury. If you change your story, you're doing life in prison. There is no, here's a deal, and we hope you do the right thing, and if you don't, you got an exit strategy. No, it doesn't work that way. These witnesses, once people start cooperating in the feds, like you see the same in the Bull situation. 19 murders. And if you watch that interview, and I asked him, I said, listen, you took the stand like a dozen times against all types of mafia bosses. Now, I understand the John Gotti situation. You felt like he double-crossed you, but these guys didn't do anything to you. He goes, well, that was part of the deal, and I had to do what I had to do. I was the only one that testified against him, and that was like his excuse. But at the end of the day, He had to sit there, take the stand over and over again, and say exactly what he told the feds on that stand. And that's what's going to happen. These guys, these co-conspirators, you could say they're OTF for life when they're actually facing life. And it's like, listen, cooperate, you'll get a release date.
I agree. I'm not a street guy. I don't subscribe to the street code. I don't see anything wrong with that self-preservation. I mean, for you to have the balls to grab a gun and pull the trigger and wipe someone off the face of the earth, but you can't snitch on someone and just get yourself back out, it's kind of this mind-boggling double dichotomy to me of just like, to me, I would tell, just, tell, DD, tell, just get out, put it on Durk, tell, why not? Like, are you willing to murder? Why not just turn on your mans? You're willing to wipe this guy, Savia Robinson, Lil Pab. And again, I feel like this is really important. No one really, like, everyone's such a Durk fanboy about this situation. I mean, you're friendly with Quando, from what I understand, right?
Yeah.
Like, you had... When are we going to take
I was upset when I heard about this.
Like, when are we going to take a step back?
Right before the news came out. I was upset about this because I could see how hurt Quando was by losing his cousin. So I'm like, if this is true, involved. I was like, yo, like these are just a bunch of bozos who put this together.
It wasn't Lil Tim. It was Quando's cousin, Savia Robinson, Lil Pab, who he had a criminal past, but from what I understand, he didn't kill nobody. He wasn't involved in this beef. Yeah. He made fun of Durk on Clubhouse once. And people act like that's enough for him to deserve to die. The guys that he was beefing with on Clubhouse, Lil Varney and them, as soon as the murder happened, Lil Varney's on IG talking about when it rains, it pours, making fun of Quando. These guys were so happy. There's a bunch of OTF affiliates and O-Block members that posted and made fun of Quando losing his cousin as soon as it happened. Lil Durk's jumping on a song talking about, no, let's say go to war about it. It's like, bro, this is a real guy that really didn't deserve to die, had nothing to do with it. Even if Quando died, Quando didn't deserve to die.
No.
That thing that happened with King Von, he didn't really want any part of that. You've interviewed Lil Tim, you've interviewed Quando. Those guys really were in a wrong place, wrong time with a guy that was really a chaos and a threat. And Von was just bringing a whole lot of negativity around. So really,
I would want my security to do the same thing Lil Tim did.
And so if
some maniac who brags about being a serial killer jumps on me, I'd want my security to shoot him dead. Because God knows what the fuck is about to happen.
We need
you know what I'm saying? Does he have a knife on him? Does he have a gun on him? Like what is supposed to happen when this lunatic jumps on me? You know what I'm saying?
And he's with a whole gang of people that are supposedly killers with guns. And it's
Other
honestly
people pulling out guns, because what's his name? Old Black Louie. Didn't he pull out a gun and it jammed or something like that? He gets shot in the head. Like, this is insanity.
Well, I'm doing a deep dive on that at the moment, and I'm trying to do like a real forensic analysis of all the body cam footage and the surveillance footage of the night that happened, and like obviously the footage of Louis getting shot, which is super messed up. You got Slutty and BJ, the other guys from O Block.
Yeah.
Slutty lost his life, BJ lived. There's been a whole debate around who was it that actually fired the shot that hit Lil Tim. And we're trying to get to the bottom of that at the moment. But that night was chaos. And when I've gone and watched like a couple hours worth of the body cam footage of the aftermath, and it is just absolutely insane. It's absolute chaos. You couldn't ever say that. There's theories. It's bullshit, but it's like there's these set up theories of like Quando and Lil Tim set up King Von as bait, and Youngboy orchestrated the whole thing. That's bollocks. But like. But it's this thing of just like, really, King Von shouldn't have done that. It set off this chain reaction of all these things that shouldn't have happened. There shouldn't have been no sliding for Von. And really, there needs to be justice for Lil Pab. And like, point me to any other theory other than Lil Durk orchestrating this thing. And I'd love to take a look at it.